Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to No Apologies. I'm Michele Rahal. This is where I get to say what I want, and you can agree, disagree, like it, love it, hate it, doesn't matter. When a corporation grows to a certain size, history tells us it begins to lose any sense of community or sense of citizenship. They grow to the point where they become living organisms whose only mission in life is to protect themselves. Some survive, some don't. This week I read an article on jalopnik.com written by their feature editor, Sam Smith. I highly recommend this site, by the way. The subject was, why is NASCAR so boring? It's a subject I've been talking about on my former tenure with Fox Sports Radio and on video for several years. Why has it lost so much of its luster in the last 6 or 7 years? Is it really because it's boring, or is it the economy? Historically, movies and auto racing have flourished in downturn economies. Those questions can be answered by attributing their woes to both. But by far and away, it's because it's become boring to the one group of people they need the most, young males. According to David Hill, the chairman and CEO of Fox Sports, and I quote, "The biggest problem facing NASCAR is that young males have left the sport." Well, why? Well, here's my take, and it mirrors Sam's. One, they produced a car that was horribly ill-conceived from the start, then tried to sell us on it under the guise of safety. But for me, the real reason was to diminish the manufacturer's power. It's a spec series. Now, after Elliott Sadler's crash at Pocono, you could argue the safety point, but I think it was more the devices attached to the car than the car itself. Two, the car is butt ugly, and you couldn't tell the difference between any of them if somebody held a gun to your head. Three, most of the races are just too damn long. Let's face it, when you watch it, it's usually the start and then the last 50 laps. Shorten the races. Four, they've muzzled the drivers despite the famous "have at it, boys" directive. They've fined several top drivers whom they wouldn't name for disparaging NASCAR, and it is Denny Hamlin and Dale Jr. Well, according to Ramsey Poston, NASCAR's heir apparent to the communications vice president position, and I quote, "It is the sanctioning body's obligation on behalf of the industry and our fans to protect the sport's brand." He goes on to say, "Any action taken by NASCAR has nothing to do with the drivers expressing an opinion. It's focused on actions or comments that materially damage the sport. We've specifically discussed this in meetings with teams, drivers, and stakeholders," unquote. Right. And the Pope smokes grass, Ramsey. What made NASCAR different was that you were the people's sport. The drivers had personalities, not corporate robotic chips injected under their skin. The cars looked different. The races weren't run on stamped-out circuits that all looked the same. Granted, NASCAR's taken steps to improve the product, but they left out the fans or the consumers completely out of the equation in reaching the actual formation of that product. They won't take mine or anyone else's advice, but if they don't start speeding up these changes, they're going to watch their product swirl slowly down the drain. It has become boring. For God's sake, do something about it. I'm Michele Rahal. No apologies.